The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja yesterday nullified the primary election that produced Senator Andy Uba as a candidate of the All Progressive Congress APC in the governorship election held in Anambra State on November 6th. The court, in a judgment that was delivered by Justice Inyang Ekwo, held that the primary election that the APC conducted on June 26th, wherein Uba emerged as its flag bearer, was done in substantial breach of both the electoral guidelines for the conduct of the governorship primary election, as well as the party's constitution. It held that the APC, having failed to comply with the law in the conduct of its primary, was therefore bereft of any valid candidate for the gubernatorial contest. The judgment followed a suit marked FHC/ABJ/CS/648/2021, which was brought before the court by an aggrieved APC governorship aspirant in the state, Mr. George Moghalu. Plaintiff alleged that the party had, in violation of its constitution and guidelines, handpicked Senator Andy Uba in a kangaroo primary election he said was conducted around 6 p.m. on June 26th. Moghalu, who was among 14 aspirants that purchased forms to contest the Anambra governorship election on the platform of the APC, told the court that he said the process that produced Uba took place after all other aspirants and officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had left the venue. He accused the party of acting in breach of the mandatory provision of Article 18 of its guideline, which he said stipulated that accreditation for primary elections must start by 8 a.m. and end by 2 p.m. Consequently, he urged the court to nullify the APC primary election and order a fresh one. Plaintiff had, among other things, urged the court to compel INEC to expunge the name of both Uba and the APC from the list of names of political parties and candidates cleared to participate in the governorship election. He also prayed the court to determine whether a political party that fails to comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2010, the party's constitution, and its guidelines by purporting to conduct a primary election without accreditation of voters actually voting or casting of votes, collation of votes, and announcement of results based on actual votes cast and counted can validly field a candidate for the election. More so, the plaintiff, through his team of lawyers led by Chris Uche San, prayed the court to declare that, by virtue of the APC's alleged non-compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2010 and the party's regulations and guidelines in the conduct of its primary in Anambra State, Uba is not a candidate of the said 6th of November 2021 gubernatorial election or at any subsequent postponement. He applied for a declaration of the court that the APC was bound to comply with the relevant legal provisions in the conduct of its primary election after having demanded and received 22.5 million naira from him and the other 13 aspirants, as well as a declaration of the court that has failed to comply with the relevant applicable laws. The APC has no candidate for the forthcoming governorship election. Aside from demanding a refund of the 22.5 million naira he paid for the expression of interest and nomination forms, plaintiff prayed the court to restrain Uba from holding himself out or parading himself as a candidate of the APC in the said election. Cited as first to third defendants in the matter are the APC, INEC, and Uba. Delivering judgments in the matter yesterday, Justice Ekwo, aside from invalidating Uba's candidacy, ordered APC to refund to plaintiff the money paid to obtain both his nomination and expression of interest forms. He held that the plaintiff successfully proved his case to warrant the nullification of the primary election. The court stressed that since the primary election was conducted illegally in breach of the law, the APC could therefore not be a beneficiary of the substantive governorship election that was declared in favor of the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance (APGA), Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo. Therefore, the court declared that APC had no candidate in the Anambra governorship election. The second defendant, INEC, is compelled to delist the name of the first defendant and third defendant from the November 6th Anambra governorship election, Justice Ekwo ordered. However, following the judgment that delisted Senator Andy Uba as a candidate in the November 6th governorship election in Anambra State, his campaign organization has said that the senator and his party, the All Progressive Congress, APC, will appeal the judgment of Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court. Deputy Director of Senator Andy Uba Governorship Campaign Organization, Mr. Ikechukwu Onya, advised politicians in the state not to rejoice over the judgment and urged APC supporters to remain law-abiding in the face of the latest developments. He said, "It is rather not surprising to many that members of a political party in the state could turn themselves as the spokespersons of the Federal High Court with their tainted report about the judgment and abuse of our party APC, with a view to distorting this grave miscarriage of justice because they are to be the direct beneficiaries of the judgment. We are not surprised that some people are celebrating the Justice Ekwo judgment like a child that received Christmas clothes from his father. They believe that the judgment will stop Andy Uba from proving his petition at the tribunal. The good thing is that this is not the last court in this instance. We are heading to appeal court to prove them wrong." This one is quite interesting because this court case is not between two political parties. It's not different parties. It's from one party, APC itself. It was one of the governorship candidates from the just concluded Anambra governorship election that dragged Andy Uba to court and also dragged the party as well, APC, as well as INEC. That Andy Uba's emergence as the flag bearer of the party was not done properly, that it was illegal, that the primaries was conducted after 6 p.m. and he referred to their constitution that states the time the primary election should start and when it should end, that it's meant to end by 2 p.m. of which this primary election that saw Andy Uba emerging as a flag bearer started 6 p.m. when they had all gone. Quite interesting. So the court had just ordered that Andy Uba is not a candidate, has nullified his candidacy, and also urging APC itself to refund the 22 million plus that Moghalu, it was actually 22.5 million naira that candidates used to purchase the form. That money should be refunded. We'll see how all of this plays out. Well, APC, they've responded on behalf of Andy Uba that they are going to appeal the judgment. Leave us your take. Thank you once again for staying tuned. Please don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe till I come your way again on more updates. Bye.